Hello, and welcome to Powerful Places Podcast. I'm your host, Gary White. Today we hear a conversation that Elyn and I had about the mysteries of Gop Hill, one of the hidden treasures we found in Wales. This podcast is available in both an audio and a video format, so take your pick and let's get started.
Gary and I want to share with you the story of our experiences in one of these wonderful, mysterious, hidden places in Wales that we discovered on our recent journeys. It's called Gop. It's an artificial mound on top of a hill on the north coast of Wales.
Yes, it's in fact Wales' largest artificial hill. And second largest in Britain. The Silbury Hill down in England is the largest. But this is an amazing place. You have an artificial hill that's 300 feet by 240 feet and 40 feet high that was built in Neolithic times by people carrying stones, probably in little baskets, up and piling them up. Can you imagine how long it would have taken carrying by hand stones up to the top? Must have been very important.
Yes, Gop is on top of a hill that is 800 feet high. And it is this mound with a sort of depression at the top, perhaps caused by excavations. There have been archaeological digs. They haven't found anything in the mound itself. So they built, these Neolithic people some 6,000 years ago, built this huge hill on top of a hill for some reason, obviously important.
Yes, if nothing else, to say this is our land, this is our territory. Because if you're standing on top of this hill, you can see a full 360-degree circle around you. You can see a lot of land around you. And vice versa, if you're down below, you can see that mound from pretty good distance away.
But there's much more to the mound, from my perspective, than simply a sort of huge beacon saying, here we are. But before we describe what happened when we got there, Gary's going to tell you the difficulty of finding this place.
Well, we had heard about it. It was marked in some way on the maps. We knew what towns it was near, but we started driving. We could see the mound, but we drove back and forth on these little roads and never saw a sign. Finally, we stopped. And there was a woman, I think, walking her dog. You thought I thought she was herding her sheep, but whatever. But she told us you have to go across this little gate, and there's a hiking trail up. And sure enough, 100 yards up this trail, there was a sign that said "Gop" and an arrow pointing.
An almost obliterated sign.
Yes, but not visible from the road. You'd have to know about it. But obviously, the locals used that trail a lot because there were benches on the trail, and it's obviously one of the places where the locals walk, but not well marked at all.
So we started walking on this hard dirt surfaced route through the forest. And something very interesting happened. We were still a long way away from the hill. We were on the hill, but a long way away from Gop. And I started feeling this sort of thickness, this sort of pressure in the air. Now, we talk a lot in our books about thin places where the other realm, whatever that is more accessible. And there are thin times of year and there are thin places. This felt like a thick place, like there was pressure, sort sort of slowing us down. And I thought, wait, let's stop. So we stopped and intentionally asked for permission to go on, said we came with respect and honor for the place. And the pressure stopped. And we walked further, and it came back again, and we again asked permission. And this was such an important reminder because there are protections around certain powerful places, sort of rings of energetic protection.
Yeah, I think of them kind of as invisible stone walls or
Right,
something.
right.
But you definitely feel it.
Yeah, yeah. And this was still active in this place, even though it was built perhaps 6,000 years ago. So this is a powerful place, and it was used for something important. So we kept walking, and then we got to the hill, to Gop itself, and scrambled up a trail along this sort of rock surfaced, very large cairn, and into the center. And it was cold out there, and the wind was blowing, and we got into the center, into this small depression, and it felt very quiet, and still we were protected from the wind.
Depression, I thought probably was some like 19th century excavation, maybe. People excavated those Neolithic sites just in search of buried treasure or whatever. And this had the feel of having been one of their digs. It was not a large depression, but it was deep enough that it got us out of the wind.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that I said, I'm going to meditate. So I sat down on a little rock, and Gary wandered around above, and suddenly I got this sense of huge rush of energy surrounding me, and this message that said the strangest thing. It said, don't be afraid. There is nothing to fear in death. Whoa. I mean, here I am sitting in the middle of a slightly excavated old pile of rocks, and I'm getting a message from the dark goddess, the underground.
Or maybe Bodega was talking to.
Yeah, Bodega. Bodega. I don't know. But it was extremely powerful, and I felt, well, after 15 or 20 minutes, when I stood up and sort of dusted myself off and came out from this experience, I felt really changed. It was quite extraordinary, and convinced me that this hill had been used for important ceremony and seasonal ritual millennia ago.
Yes, and just below this hill, if you go down through some bushes and through a little gate and go on down the hill, directly below it, there is a natural limestone outcrop and a cave. In fact, I think there were 2 caves within that outcrop. Mm-hmm. And one of them had a walled area at the back that they had found 14 Neolithic bodies, burials from the time when this was built. So this cave was clearly a part of the same site. They were linked in some way.
And modern legend says, well, I don't know how modern, but anyway, legend says that Boudica, who was a very important Celtic warrior queen, who has a fascinating story and based on truth. I mean, whatever the legend is, there's truth there. She fought against the Roman governor of Britain. And anyway, legend says that she was buried there in this cave. Now, there's no reason to think that the burials there were from Boudica's time, which is, millennia later than this was built. But what I find interesting is that the legend that survives is a story about a powerful female queen, warrior queen in this case. But my experience on top of Gop, before I knew about this, was of a dark feminine energy. So it makes me think that there was some that the modern legend is a very faint echo of a memory of something to do with the hill and its original ceremonial purpose, linked to the divine feminine, to perhaps the dark feminine energies that would abide in the ground.
Yes, another one of those hidden places in Wales.
Absolutely.
Go to www.powerfulplaces.com and www.powerfulplaces.info to learn more about the Powerful Places Guidebook series.